If you're not a Sniper Squad DJ, then why you DJing? DJs are in the mix.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hey, welcome to Northeast Delta HSA Youth Summit 2022, man. I'll tell you about to have a great time. We got a lot of great things happening for y'all. Great speakers we're about to introduce y'all to. Also, man, little things about Northeast Delta HSA. They are a mental health addiction, development, disability, and prevention. Services are free to those who are uninsured or underinsured, and that's really important, man, especially for this community right here, underinsured and or uninsured. So, man, make sure you check out some of their services. Prevention, wellness services are free to the community. Grief counseling services are free as part of their grant, and so much more. So, look, if you're a school, if you're a teacher, or you're a parent, someone out there that think that these services should be used at your local school, elementary, high school, junior high, make sure you give them a call today to find, free prevention, evidence-based lessons and information. Call them today at 318-362-4617. That's 318-362-4617. Once again, Northeast Delta HSS, that's the Youth Summit, man, 2022. And look, we're having a great time right here. Hope y'all having a great time. Everyone that's on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, Zoom. All right, big shout out to everyone that's watching, man, in those avenues. Look, check this out. It's time for us to get started. Once again, I want to give a big shout out to Northeast Delta HSA. Some of the services they provide, man, some of the services they provide is mental health, addiction, development disability prevention. And these services are free. Like a lot of people need to know that like these services are free to you, man, especially if you're underinsured, don't have any insurance, anything. You can get these services. Plus, man, you can, if you want them in your school, give them a call today. Give them a call today at 318-362-4617. That's 318-362-4617. Give them a call. All right, so right now, I want to introduce our MC for the day, man. She's, she's a NEDHS student ambassador. She's also the owner of Love It Candles LLC. She's a Miss Moral Outstanding Teen, a National Honor Society member, and she's a Never Tigers, Go Tigers. All right, so I want to give a round of applause for the MC for the day, Miss Haley Beckwith. Haley B.
Hello everyone, I am Haley Beckwith, your host for today's summit. I am so grateful for this amazing opportunity. A little bit about me. I am a junior at the Neville High School. Shout out to all my Tigers. I am the 7th of 8 kids. Yes, 8 kids. I am the junior CEO of Golden Gate Funeral Home and Beckwith Golden Gate Funeral Home. The theme for this year's Youth Summit is We Lit, Leaders in Training. We will focus on the impact youth can make in the community and help them understand the power within themselves and raise awareness of underage drinking. This event was created by NEDHSA's Opportunity Zone. The Opportunity Zone serves Ouachita and Franklin Parish, and their coalition works to reduce underage drinking in our communities. If you're interested in joining a coalition, contact NEDHSA's Office of Prevention and Wellness at 318-362-4617. Again, the number is 318-362-4617. And now I will introduce our amazing panelists. Asia Jordan. Asia is Miss University of Louisiana 2022. She created her business, Potential to Kinetic, with a goal to be a catalyst for positive change and transformation within individuals and communities through yoga services, fitness training, community projects, and synergetic partnerships. Raven Thistle. Raven Thistle is an activist, holistic health coach, talk show host, and corporate communications consultant. When she observed the climbing rates of suicide and stress-related illness among Black Americans, she founded Crown and Calm Co. with the mission of empowering Black communities with meditation and other holistic health tools. She is the host of Raven Thistle Live, an IBM TV network talk show where she teaches holistic personal development and to an international audience. And now our keynote speaker, Big Al Cherry. Big Al Cherry is an international hip-hop R&B recording artist and an inspirational speaker from Northeast Louisiana. He is formerly the music director and on-air personality of KBYO 92.FM, the all-new Power 92.7.FM, positive hip-hop and R&B. Al has traveled the globe entertaining audiences of all ages, races, and denominations, with music, speaking, and even comedy. A former youth pastor and a former calculus teacher, Big Al has an uncanny way of reaching any audiences with a wealth of knowledge and experience, coupled with his love for all people. His passion is to see lives changed, inspired, and encouraged, and he's motivated to see people live and enjoy life. I introduce to you our speaker, Asia Jordan.
Hello everyone, good morning. I am so excited to be here. Like Haley said, my name is Asia and I'm honored to be speaking today alongside Big Al and Raven. Before we go any further, like Haley said, I am a yoga teacher, so I have to do something that makes me feel real at home, and it's also going to help you out too. So wherever you are, whether you're seated or standing, I want you to just take a second and find some good posture, okay? Move your shoulders a little bit. We're going to take some deep breaths. This is going to help you stay focused. This is going to help me stay focused and just calm and ready to receive these awesome messages that we have today. So let's sit up nice and tall, okay? Tell your partner, if you have somebody watching this with you, go ahead, sit up nice and tall. We're going to take a deep breath in through our nose, and you can even reach all the way up. Reach, 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 reach. Come on, y'all can do it with me in this room. And then press your palms together, and then we're going to exhale, bring your hands back down to your heart. Doesn't that feel nice? Let's do it again. Take a deep breath in, reach all the way up. Oh yeah, and then exhale, bring it right back down to the center. Okay, so I'm a fitness trainer too. I gotta pump up the energy a little bit. We gotta get it out. So we're gonna take our fist and we're gonna pump it. Come on, pump it. It's like we're on P90X. Let's pump it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now one more breath, reach up. And then exhale back down to the heart. I feel right at home now. Thank you so much for doing that with me. So let's dive right in. I'm going to address the elephant in the room, this crown and sash that I'm wearing. So yes, I am Miss ULM, and it is an honor to be representing the University of Louisiana Monroe today. This college has changed my life so much and has created a positive impact for all of my years that I've been there. I'm actually going to graduate this year in December with a master's in public administration. And to just be here saying that to you and to be speaking on the topics that I'm speaking about today is really, really surreal. And the reason being is because I'm going to share with you my background story. This path that I'm on of success, achievements, and titles hasn't always been the case. I come from a past where in my youth I was making some bad decisions and I was going down a dark path, and had I not had people in my life that saw something within me that I didn't see within myself, I would not be here before you today. So a little bit of background about where I come from and who I am. I was actually raised by my grandparents in kind of a low-income household. I'm the baby of 2 older brothers, and I'm the first to finish high school in my family. Whoop, whoop, whoop! Yeah, first to finish high school. And the reason why that's so life-changing is because education has provided a lot of opportunities for me. And growing up in the household that I grew up in and the environment, I just wasn't super aware of a lot of the opportunities that life had in store. And so education and finding my passions through fitness has really been the catalyst for all that change that I've made into my life. But in high school, I wasn't too picky about who I hung around with, okay? Sometimes you need to check your circle and ask yourself if those people are calling you to a higher place or if they're pulling you down. You've heard probably the phrase where you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with most. Well, these people that I hung out with in high school were engaging in underage drinking and drugs and partying and this crazy lifestyle. And so if you hang around in that, what do? You end up doing the same things. And once you get in that lifestyle, it's really hard to get out of. But I did it, I'm here, and I'm going to tell you how I did that and how you can avoid lifestyles like that, because ultimately going down those types of paths, not only is it bad for your physical health, but it jeopardizes opportunities in your life. You jeopardize relationships and friendships. And so going back to that topic of analyzing and assessing who your circle is, if you look around and you don't like the people that are in your direct circle, let me say not like them. If you look at that and you say, ask yourself, are these people carrying the qualities, the characteristics that I want to embody for my future? Are these people pulling me to a higher place, or are they making me feel down and peer pressured? And so those are the things that you want to assess as you get older, as you grow up, and in order to make that positive change in your life and to be a leader, not a leader of just your life, but whenever you become a leader, you help other people as well. And so, like I said, in high school I was kind of going down this dark path. I wasn't really aware of a lot of the opportunities that life had in store. And so that brings me to my first point that I want to make. So if you have a journal or something to write with, there's going to be 3 points that I really want you to take away from what I'm going to tell you today. And how I made that difference in my life was the first point, to recognize and realize potential. Haley mentioned about my business called Potential to Kinetic, and it's based off the idea that we all have potential. You remember in elementary science, potential energy is energy that is stored, right? And then kinetic energy is energy is in motion. So my brand and my business is all about how can we tap into that place within ourselves, or even recognize potential in other people and pull that out. And so in high school, whenever I was going down those dark paths, I actually had two coaches in PE. I was walking in PE one day, and they stopped and they asked me, Asia, have you ever thought about joining the swim team? And I was like, I didn't even know we had a swim team, okay? And so I was like, you know what? I have nothing else going on. I was real lost, dark, depressed. And so I joined the swim team. And so I tried out and made it. And during that time, I was still kind of in that lifestyle. And I actually had 2 close friends pass away. And so I pulled myself out of the swim team and took a few months off. And then another coach came up to me in PE because I love to do handstands. Maybe I was a yoga teacher just all my life and didn't realize it. I did handstands a lot. And so the powerlifting coach came up to me and she was like, Asia, you're so strong, how you hold yourself up like that. Have you ever thought about joining the powerlifting team? And I was like, what in the world? How are these people thinking of me as an athlete? But sure, I'll try out for the powerlifting team. And long story short, that's really where my life started to change. I started lifting weights and getting into fitness, realizing my potential to gain strength. I saw my body change. It felt like the weight that I was lifting the burdens of pain that I was going through. And so that experience brought me to the gym, in which I fell in love with fitness. I started to notice my body change, like I said, achieving those goals, and I witnessed change from the outside in. A lot of people say that change occurs from the inside out, but it happened different for me. Whenever I realized that I could change the physical, I started to empower change mentally, and I was like, okay, if I can do this, then I can be the difference in my family. I can stop this generational pattern. I can break this cycle. And so that led me to become a fitness trainer, a yoga teacher, because that instilled within me the same desire to see potential in other people and pull that out in them and to be that catalyst. So that, going back to that point of recognizing and realizing potential, if it weren't for those 2 people who said, Asia, do you see this within yourself? And me acting upon that, then I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I encourage you that if you see your peers doing some things that aren't really in their optimal interest or good for them, call them out in a healthy way and say, hey, you're meant for more. You're meant to do better than that. And that's how you can become a leader. And if someone points out something in you, tries to raise you to a higher place, and it may make you feel a little uncomfortable. I wasn't comfortable trying out for the swim team or for powerlifting, but I did it, and that is what sparked a new level of growth. So point number 1, recognize and realize potential. So point number 2 is to assume the position of a leader. And to be a leader, what does that even mean? A leader, and if you want to write this down, you can write this down. A leader is someone who inspires and influences others through their actions, words, and behaviors. That's the way I like to think about a leader. And I want you to realize that you have a sphere of influence wherever you are. You don't hit a certain age or a certain point in your life that you say, okay, now I'm a leader. I have to be so old, I have to be so young or whatever. You are a leader right now. In your friend group and your community that you're in, you have a sphere of influence and power within you to make change in your own life and in the lives of other people. And so leadership is all about helping other people become better. One of my favorite quotes, if you want to write this down, is leadership is not about becoming the best. It's not about putting yourself on a pedestal. It's actually quite the opposite. You go down and you serve people. Leadership is about helping other people become better. And so assuming that position of a leader and recognizing the power that you have to make a difference in your life and others, that is one way that you can stay lit throughout our life, leaders in training. And on to my last point is to be in the 1% and to be proud there. And what I mean by the 1% is that there are so many people in life that are just doing what everyone else is doing. There's going to be times in your life where you're going to be peer pressured to make bad decisions and to engage in underage drinking, and you have to ask yourself, well, what is this decision that I'm making now? How is that going to impact my future? And so that is one way that you can be in that 1% that it says no. No is a complete sentence, and you can say no. And you can call other people to achieve and to believe in their ability to pass temptation and to go on to what your fullest potential is. And so those 3 points are really what I want you to take away today. It is a miracle that I'm here with you. It is a miracle that I'm able to speak about these things because I was perpetuating those same patterns and same cycles, and it's really hard to break sometimes. But I did it, and I'm here, and 3 ways that I want you to remember as you go on, how you can stay lit, how you can assume that position of a leader, is to A, recognize and realize potential and act on it. And 2, assume that position of a leader, understanding your influence that you have in your circle. And then 3, be proud to be in that 1% and keep doing, keep believing, keep achieving that you can be better. Thank you so much.
And now we will have Raven Thistle.
Hey there. A lot of conversations in the South begin with some version of, hi, how are you? But this conversation with me, I'm going to start with a different question. Hi, who are you? I want to talk to you today about how to lead a life that you truly love and make decisions that you can be proud of. Now, when you hear somebody's bio, it's easy to think and see them for who they are now, but not really understand where they come from. And I appreciate what Asia shared, being so vulnerable and transparent about where she came from. Similar to many of you, I got my start in extreme poverty. I grew up with an alcoholic parent, and I spent a lot of my childhood feeling neglected. And then throughout my adolescence, I felt unheard and unseen. And so if you are a person who feels that way, understand that you're not alone. I completely relate and understand those sentiments. I want you to understand also that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of healing, and you can recover and achieve the life that you desire. You're completely capable, and you already have everything that you need to grab hold of it. Now I'm going to tell you how I cultivate myself and live a life that I love. The basic tenets and the basis of what I'm going to share with you is understanding your own core values and then aligning your decisions with those core values so that you have a deep understanding of how to answer that question that I asked when I said, hey, who are you? The journey that I would recommend, or the way that I have approached living this way, is through 3 primary facets. They don't necessarily have to happen in this particular order, but for the sake of our conversation, I'm going to call them 1, 2, and 3. The first one is self-discovery. Now, when I say, who are you? A lot of people's first inclination is to talk about their exterior self. You might define yourself as a male or female, a certain age, a student, or you may turn to your profession or what you desire to become. Those things are your external self. When I ask, who are you? I am talking about your internal self. I want to understand what drives you, what motivates you. Why do you do the things that you do? More important than answering that question to me or to anyone else is how you answer that question to yourself. The seen you is the one that everybody knows. Like I mentioned, it's your gender, your race, or your ethnic background. These are things that someone could read your driver's license or your school transcript and determine about you. When you ask yourself, who am I? The answer should be things that other people would not be able to see or determine by observing just your appearance or your lifestyle. When we don't have our own answer to the question, who am I? We naturally lean on the definitions that are given to us by other people. We define ourselves by what our parents or families expect from us, by what we see on social media, or what our friends are doing. We allow ourselves to be influenced and live from the outside in. We become a vehicle for other people's agendas, and our core values are easily lost in the mix of those thoughts and ideas. But when we have a clear definition and an understanding of our answer to who am I, we are free to live from the outside in. And it could be tricky because other people's expectations and the voices of social media and outside influences can make us feel very other, very alone, very outside, not good enough, not worthy, if we're not careful. And so shutting out those voices for long enough to develop our own answers to these questions, listen and observe ourselves, is going to be a very important step in this process. One difference that I would like to call out between some of the things that you're hearing is that Asia's journey was for her to change from the outside in, and that's a beautiful process. My journey was for me to change from the inside out, which is also a beautiful process. There's no one way to approach living your life in the way that you're proud of and in a way that you love. So opening yourself up to truly pay attention to the things that you're doing, why you're doing them, understanding your behaviors at where you are right now is the first step in being able to accept and create your journey as you go. Understanding that it's okay if mine looks nothing like anyone else's. If other people believe that my way is wrong or are chastising me for my point of view, it's okay for me to divorce myself from their perspective and their ideas of who I should be, so that I can pay attention to who I actually am and begin developing myself into who I would like to be. So self-discovery is step one. Being very honest with yourself in this process is important. Every single one of us, every person that you know, has a natural tendency to build a monument, an idea, a statue of who we think we are. And usually it sounds something like, I'm a good person, right? And so we come back and lean on that idea. When we do something good, it's because I'm a good person. When we do something that we aren't necessarily proud of, we might make an excuse for it so that we can hold on to that good person model, whatever that looks like or means for you. Well, yes, I lied, but I was nervous. And so we kind of cast those behaviors aside and we don't ascribe them to what we're seeing ourselves doing and who we truly are. I'm inviting you to take down the monument or statue of who you want to be and accept all the parts of what you see yourself doing. Not judging yourself, not being hard on yourself, but being honest with yourself about what you see. That is the starting point of self-discovery. The second phase, or the second part of this system that I'm discussing with you now, is self-acceptance. This is extremely important on your journey to creating a life that you love. You must be able to not only identify the parts of yourself that you're witnessing, but to accept that this is who you are, where you are right now. Also accepting that you can change that at any time. The freedom in knowing that you get to define yourself and create yourself throughout your life should give you a little bit of breathing room to accept the things that you see, both wonderful and maybe things that you want to change. Both are okay. Throughout this life, and even on this panel next to me, these fabulous people, we all have this in common. We all have things about ourselves that we really can love and cling to, and we all have things that we notice in ourselves that we would like to see be a little different. I would challenge you to ask yourself why. The gap between who you are now and what you would like to see yourself become is a space that can either hinder and terrify you and paralyze you, or it's a space that can motivate you and drive you. It's a space where you can love yourself and accept where you are in between. As you're doing that, being very compassionate with yourself, asking yourself questions like, why am I showing up this way? Why am I not getting my homework done on time? Why am I choosing these friends? Why do I feel this way when this happens? Exploring those instances with self-compassion and understanding is the second part of this system that I'm describing. The third part of the system that I'm describing is defining yourself. It's creating your answer to who am I. It's saying that my definition of myself is fluid. It doesn't have to be the same on every day. Some days I'm more mom, some days I'm more professional, some days I am identifying more with my emotions, and sometimes I'm identifying more with my thoughts. But on all of those days, there are certain values that anchor me. So deciding on what those core values are that you want to anchor you into the person that you'd like to become is defining yourself. So that regardless of whether you find yourself being more artsy on this day and more business-minded on the next, you can align yourself and your decisions based on these fundamental roots that you create for yourself. And you might find yourself needing to adjust them over time, and that's okay. If you notice that your behaviors are not lining up with your core values, that's an opportunity for you to have conversations with yourself, asking yourself why. Is it because I need to practice new habits so that I can align myself better? Is it because I'm hanging around people that I maybe shouldn't be hanging around? Is it because I have a poor self-image? Maybe I'm coming from a home where I don't feel loved, I don't feel worthy and respected. These are answers that are very important for you to find so that you can either reaffirm your core values or create new ones. At the end of the day, living a life that you love and are really excited about can be a lot of things. It can change from one year to the next. But the beautiful thing is when you have an understanding of what your core values are and you align yourself as closely with them as you can, you build a character that you can be proud of. So I want to remind you in closing, 3 facets of living and creating a life that you truly love and are proud of: self-discovery, self-acceptance, and self-definition. Thank you.
And now we will have our keynote speaker, Big Al Cherry.
Well, good morning. I have to be honest in saying that this is well beyond my thought process to be sharing the stage with Asia and Raven. You've heard them share this morning, and they are exceptional at what they do, and I'm so honored to be sitting with them this morning and to be with you for the Northeast Delta HSA's 2022 Youth Summit. I am Big Al Cherry. Let me start by saying this real quick because I need to get it out of the way. I love my mom. I love my dad. I love my step-parents. I love my family. I want to make sure I say that from the beginning because what I'm going to do is borrow something from Asia, borrow something from Raven, and I'm going to get in depth with talking to you about my journey. Now, the theme this year is we lit. We lit. You heard me? Like, from the jump, we've been lit, you know? And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today, about being lit. What does it mean to be lit? Well, I'm going to tell you this. I'm lit, if you didn't know. But there are some reasons and some things that have happened in my life that have caused me to be lit. So here's the first thing. I'm lit because of this. I'm learning to live in truth. That's how I'm lit. Now you say, well, what does that mean, Big Al? Here you go. This is a part of my journey. I'm the product of a broken home. You heard me say step-parents. So what happened was my mom and dad were married when I was born, and not long after that, they separated and they divorced. So my mom had this incredible responsibility of raising a young black man. She had no idea of the gift she had when she had me, but she had it. And this is what she had to do. She had to raise me. And she had a little help from my grandmother and from my older sister. And somewhere along the journey, my mom, being a single black female, decided to start dating. And somewhere along that process, she fell in love. And she ended up remarried. Now, here's one of the things that I will say. When she remarried, there were some things that we did know, and there were some things that we did not know. And one of the things that we did not know was what our lives would turn out to be. We did not know that our house would start to be one that was filled with abuse. Now you say, what kind of abuse? Every kind you could think of was happening, except sexual, I will say that. But what we did learn was that my stepfather had a hankering for alcohol. And he also, at one particular time in his life, got physical behind that alcohol. And because of that, one particular day, when we had an altercation in the house and we were all upset and we were telling him that he needed to leave and he decided to leave, I made a discovery in the refrigerator. There was a case of Budweiser. And this was my chance. This was my chance to find out what this Budweiser tasted like. So I grabbed a can, I ran into the backyard, and I threw it back. And I said something like this: wow, this is pretty good. So I went and got 8 more. So in one setting, at the age of 9 years old, I consumed 9 cans of beer. That created this insatiable appetite in me to have alcohol every single day of my life. Now, one of the things that the Northeast Delta HSA tries to do, and what we're trying to do, is put a spotlight on underage drinking. I'm going to share with you why this means so much to me. At 9 years old, who knew or who would have thought that a young guy like myself would consume that much beer and live to tell about it? And so from there, I wanted to drink it more and more and more. And eventually I got to this point where I said, you know what? Beer is nasty. I want to try some of the other stuff that he has over there. The Wild Turkey and the Crown Royal and the Thunderbird. And eventually, what became my drink of choice, Jack Daniels. So here was the deal. I, not only in elementary school, but going into junior high school, got to the point in my life where every single day I was consuming about a pint of Jack Daniels. Here's what's crazy about it. Nobody knew it. My friends knew, but no adults knew, because I hit it with two things. You are going to probably trip when you hear this, but I had a 4.0 GPA. I didn't make B's often at all, and if I did, I'd cry behind them. The second thing was these dimples. Now don't look too hard. But what happened was my personality would keep people away from actually seeing that I was hurting. So as a junior high student at Carroll Junior High School, I found myself going to school inebriated just about every single day. And what you don't know, and what I did not know then, was that this alcohol was actually adding to how low I felt about myself. I struggled with self-esteem. And I tried my best to use alcohol to heighten it. And the more I used it, the worse it showed itself. The worse my self-esteem was. I'll tell you a true story. In junior high school one day, I had gotten fairly inebriated prior to going to school. And I said the reason why I wanted to do it was I wanted to kill all my nerves, because today I was going to express my undying love for this very pretty girl. So, if you've ever been to Carroll Junior High School, it was a walkway on the sidewalk where the girls used to hang out and chill all the time. So I decided to walk up to her, and I was going to express my love. Now, if you got your notepad, like Asia said, this is just for my fellas. You might want to write this down. I walked up to her and I said, hey, yo, I wrote a poem for you. I like to recite it. So I looked at her very kindly, smiling, and I said her first name, which I could say her name now, but she may be watching. But she'll know this story. I looked at her and I said, you got your notepad? Okay. I wish there were 25 hours in a day so I could have an extra hour to love you in a special way. And I said, I wish there were 8 days in a week so I could have an extra day to give you all the love you seek. And I said, I wish there were 13 months in a year so I could have an extra month to hold you near, dear. Then I LL Cool J. I licked my lips. I love you, girl. And when I did that, everybody was like, ah, yo, and they started pushing her. They were like, you better kiss him, you better kiss him. And she was like, don't push me, don't push me, don't push me. And so everybody's quiet, and I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, I'm looking at her. And then she goes, don't nobody like your fat, ugly self, get out of my face, ugh! And everybody starts laughing. Well, now I'm angry. My best friend at the time, who was my god brother, I called him, put me in a full Nelson. He said, man, you better not hit that girl. And I was like, I just want to knock the skin off of her. That's how I felt. It was so horrible. Because what I thought, the courage that this alcohol was giving me, it was actually continuing to take me down. And depression started setting in. And I struggled with depression. And the more depressed I got, the more alcohol I consumed. And then things started to go even more so awry in my family. You know, I didn't have the best relationship with my dad. He was raising my stepbrother. He was married to my stepmom. And, you know, a lot of people really loved and respected my dad, and I didn't. And my mom was doing the very best she could, but she literally had no help. And I became the person who at some point in life tried to be the man who helped her. But I was a kid, and I was struggling. And eventually, two things happened. That alcohol almost caused me to lose a scholarship and to tarnish the image of our school. I was a part of an incredible program at Southern University in Baton Rouge called the Timbuktu Academy. And when I was a part of the Timbuktu Academy, the last weekend prior to our last week of being there, we all decided to drink. And unfortunately, we got caught. And in getting caught, they should have. And we got caught by some older men, some actually college students. And they should have reported us. And then that should have led to us being dismissed from the program, not getting the scholarship money, and all of that stuff. But they had this weird thing of grace for us, and they kept it quiet. I almost lost it all. And then that depression and that low self-esteem and knowing that I almost lost that, and then all of the things that were going on in my family and me consuming alcohol, it caused me to feel like my life wasn't worth living. So I attempted to end my life. In high school, at Carroll High School, one day, I attempted to commit suicide. And I'm so grateful that I was unsuccessful, because I'm here today to tell you that I'm lit. I'm learning to live in truth. Now, I have to be honest with you in telling you that a part of me being lit as well was because of love-inspired teaching. This is for my educators who may not be watching right now. You probably thought, oh, this is a youth summit, so I'm going to turn off and be on my phone and do the Wordle for the day and all that stuff. But for one moment, if you could tap your teacher and tell him to look and get your coach's attention and tell them to look. Love-inspired teaching helped me to be lit. You know, there were people like Dina Allen and Sandy Voorhees, Anna Gonzalez, Gloria Sweet, Luann Sam, Audrey Edwards, Veda Mims, Warren Thomas, Joseph Ross, Gustavia Evans, Jimmy Jones, rest his soul, Sarah Oye, Kitty Monahan. And two that really stand out to me, Walter C. Rush and Juanita Rambo Hurd. These teachers were not even teachers. They were people that loved me. They wanted to see so much develop out of the seed of my life that they did things that were beyond anything that had to do with me writing in cursive or dividing a fraction or anything like that. They loved me beyond the walls of academia, and it changed my life. Educators, you have something right now in front of you or behind you that literally can change this world if you lead with love. I want to encourage you that one of the reasons I'm sitting here and I'm lit is because of that love-inspired teaching that I got from educators, where they did not stop at 3 o'clock and go to their homes and leave. No, they literally said to me, Alfred, are you okay? They looked beyond the smile. They looked beyond the grades. They looked beyond all of the accomplishments that I had, and they were concerned about me. They loved me so much that it made me want to make them proud. I didn't say it, but I will give you some of my bio. And that is this. I do currently travel the world as a speaker, as an entertainer, and a singer. At the moment that I started my music career, I started as a junior high school teacher. I graduated from the Grambling State University. with a bachelor's of science in pure mathematics. And here's the thing. A lot of the times when you tell people that, they're like, oh my gosh, you're smart. And I just tell them, Raven, I fake it till I make it. But I definitely graduated with honors from Grambling State University with a degree in pure mathematics. But I did nothing in that field. My thought was, I want to be to some young person what Juanita Rambo was to me, what Walter Rush was to me. So I said, you know what? I went to Louisiana Tech University, and I said, what do I need to do to teach school? And they said, get into this alternative teacher certification program, and I did it. And I completed that, and for 13 years, I was an educator. At the same time, I was a speaker and an entertainer. And during that time, I taught courses like calculus and advanced math, physics 1 year, geometry. I even taught Bible history. But these were some of the things that I did for 13 years. But one of the things that I made sure of was that I didn't allow what educational components that they were throwing and shoving down our necks to stop me from loving my students. Which is the reason why here I am years later, and there are quite a few of my students who I am constantly in contact with because they love me and I love them. You know, another reason why I'm lit is because of light-induced transformation. I can't lie to y'all. My transformation happened because of a man named Jesus. I'm sorry, but I make no apologies for it. You know, along with that love that I was receiving from my community and from my teachers, I started to receive this love from Jesus that changed my life. I allowed his light to shine on me and shine in me. When you talk about from the outside in, that love definitely shone on the outside of me. And I let that light get down on the inside of me. And it changed the fabric of who I am. And that's the reason why I spend my time now traveling, sharing that light with every person that I can. Because I simply want to see us all shine. I want you to be just as lit as we are. And the last thing, the reason why I'm lit is because of a life in therapy. I don't want you to sit here and think that everything that I said is what did happen. You know, a lot of the times it's easy for us as adults to talk about what we used to do and what we have gone through, but not about what we're in. This is the reason why I was so honored when the Northeast Delta HSA reached out to me to be a part of this event. Because what they do is they aim to make sure that all of us have mental health. And they want to see us all reach our full potential. Why not partner with somebody like that? Because guess what? Every week, I'm working on my mental health. I am currently in therapy. Yep, I have the light of Jesus Christ, and I definitely have some professionals who continue to help me every single week to make every great choice that I can make. To stay lit. I didn't want to just get lit. I want to stay lit. And so these are the ways that I'm lit. I'm lit because I'm learning to live in truth. I'm lit because of love-inspired teaching. I'm lit because of light-induced transformation. And I'm lit because of my life in therapy. This is what has me lit. You know, to be lit simply means to be ignited. That's why Asia's here. That's why Raven's here. That's why Big Al's here. We're here to ignite you. We want you to be lit. And whatever it takes for you to get there, to become that leader, that's what we want. Let me tell you something. Leaders lead by example. So let me be the first to say, I hope the example of who we are reaches you where you are, and it inspires you to be lit. Thank you, and have a good morning.
Great job, great job.
Northeast Delta Human Services Authority provides services and treatment to individuals diagnosed with major mental illnesses, developmental disabilities, and addictive disorders. We also provide prevention and wellness services throughout our 12-parish region in Northeast Louisiana. Our agency's vision is to build a unified Northeast Louisiana where individuals are thriving and reaching their full human potential. Our agency's mission is to serve as a catalyst for individuals with mental health, developmental disabilities, and addictive disorders to help realize their full human potential by offering quality, excellent care with greater accessibility. The three tenets that guide our actions are greater access to services, excellent customer service, and quality, competent care. Dr. Montez A. Sizer leads Northeast Delta Human Services Authority as the Executive Director.
Great job. Give a big round of applause for Mr. Al Cherry. We're going to go into a small intermission, and while we do that, I'll play a little music.
Soldier Boy, tell me. Hey, I got this new dance for y'all called the Soldier Boy. You just gotta punch, then crank back 3 times from left to right. Soldier Boy, I'm in it. Why me crank it? Why me crank that Soldier Boy? That Superman, that why me crank that Soldier? Now why me you crank that Soldier? Now why me you crank that Soldier? I see, big ass. You crank that Soldier? Now what? Soldier Boy, I'm in it. Why me crank it? Why me crank that Soldier Boy? That Superman, that Bob King.
Big shout out to everyone. Once again, man, I want to say a big shout out to everyone that's listening right now from via Facebook, YouTube. What else we on Zoom? Big shout out to everyone that's watching on Zoom. Look, for everyone that's out there that's watching, that's a part of this right now. Look, I want y'all to do something for us. I want y'all to put in the chat right now the school that y'all represent. I want you to put in the chat the school that you want to represent right now. So that's Wiseman, Cara, Rep, get lit for your school right now. Show what school really repping right now. So let's go.
No, bitch can't do it like me. No, bitch can't do it like me. No, bitch can't do it like me. Put your right leg up, left leg up. Sit down,
2022, you saw that we lit right now. Let's go.
Look to the right, look back in the booty, a stand up, twerk, twerk, now twerk, twerk, now twerk, twerk, now twerk.
I ain't seen it yet, but I know why. I know the wild stuff real good. I ain't seen it, but I know why. Big shout out to the Melbourne Tigers.
I got you, my team. Okay. Till I can't no more. Gonna take my horse to the hotel.
If you're not a Sniper Squad DJ, then why you DJ?
Elementary, Madison High School, Richmond represent.
If you want a G, clap 2 times. If you better G, clap 2 times. If you better G, clap 2 times. I make them G, make them G, don't G, don't G. Let me eat, take me in, 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 take me in.
This DJ T Baby in the mix.
Okay, T Baby, let's see some of these other schools. Big shout out to alumni of Cara High School, Grambling State University, the G. Y'all see right, big shout out to everyone that's listening. Once again, man, big shout out to everyone that really represent their school. I saw Carroll, I saw Richwood, I saw Wiseman, I saw the GSU on there, Secrets are Grambling, ULM. He's just saying ULM because he went there, but big shout out to Northeast Delta HSA, man. I'm telling you, great things are happening right here. Big shout out to everyone that gave their speech, man. Y'all gave me so much motivation. Also, just hearing the things that y'all got, the things y'all went through, the motivation that y'all got from y'all struggle really encouraged me. You know, the stretch, the breathing really helped me out too, so it's going down. Look, big shout out to everyone that's doing it, man. It's the 2022 Youth Summit. Big shout out to the Northeast Delta HSA. Also, man, look, for more information about them, give them a call today at 318-362-4617, and they'll get you hooked up. All right, so right now, we got some winners that we finna pick. I'm gonna let T-Baby announce the winners. What's going on?
Y'all know the funniest thing. This is too funny because I actually.
He didn't pick these winners too, by the way. He didn't pick them.
I didn't pick them, but I actually know 3 of the winners by chance. So the first winner is Stacia Palmer, and y'all give her a big shout out because that's my fiance. Going Galleon in 2022, June. The next winner is Haywood Foy. He's my frat brother. Big shouts out to the Utah chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And our next winner is Shelling Jackson. And the last winner is Zenkia Shaw. It's too funny, I actually know most of all these people.
All right, so look, for all the winners that's out there, if you heard your name, make sure you contact Northeast Delta for your prizes. And you can call them at 318-362-4617. Once again, that's 318-362-4617. If you heard your name, if you're a winner, contact Northeast Delta today to find out about your prizes. That's 318-362-4617.
Attendees, you can now start putting your questions in the chat for a Q&A to follow. And now we will ask our panelists some questions. A few consequences of underage drinking are injuries, teen pregnancy, increased risk of alcohol dependency, and even death. Did you know about any of these consequences as a youth, and how did you avoid them?
All right, I'll go first. So in high school, I had given some context about some of my path, so I obviously didn't avoid that lifestyle very much, to be quite frank and honest. And I can't really recall that it was really enforced what the consequences were. And so maybe that's something for teachers and educators out there to have more programs and bring more awareness of what the implications are of alcoholism and underage drinking. And I think that speaking to you now with the context of my past is understanding what the implications of a present action is for your future. It's really hard to think about that sometimes in this phase of your life that you're in, being young, you know, YOLO, you only live once, you just want to make the most of the moment, but you got to think about both, right? You have to understand that yes, stop and smell the roses, but you also have seeds in your back pocket that you need to sow and reap a harvest later. So think about that whenever the conversation approaches about alcoholism, and think about how you can make a decision now that will impact your future for the better.
Definitely, along with what Asia said, of course, I didn't avoid it. But I did have, just like she said, I mean, even my mom, even though she didn't know at the time that I was consuming alcohol, she definitely would let us know how detrimental it could be to your future, not just, you know, to your health. And then, of course, again, the educators at our school, especially at Lincoln Elementary School and on into Carroll Junior High and Carroll High, there were people who spoke to us beyond what we were just learning, you know, from the pages of the book. And they definitely told us of those things that could happen, especially around homecoming and prom season. That's when they would really kind of start talking to us about that and give us. So I did learn those in high school. Not all of them. I didn't know about how they could affect, teenage pregnancy, of course, but I did know that it could definitely lead to death. And I remember they used to always talk about alcohol poisoning. They would talk about that, which nobody really talks about even now. But that's just one of the things that they would share with us. So I did get some information on that when I was in high school from educators.
Well, I really didn't dive deep into the lifestyle of drinking when I was in high school, but it wasn't because I was an upstanding and modest citizen. It was because my deeply held belief was that I needed to be perfect in order to be loved. I was afraid that if I made mistakes that I would then be unloved. I talked a little bit about how through my teen years and adolescence I felt neglected, and I was raised with an alcoholic parent. And so from what I was observing, if I did those things, I wouldn't be worthy. So I kind of walked on eggshells a lot, just afraid to make any type of mistakes. So it really wasn't rooted in being afraid of a consequence other than losing the affection that I could get from those that I loved. And so that pours back into what I was saying before about having those core values that you define within yourself, understanding that you are inherently worthy. And if you make mistakes, it does not disqualify you from love.
What are some ways people have tried to pressure you to drink, and what did you do?
I think the number one, pressure is peer pressure, but it's also, there can be internal pressure as well, just curiosity. Some of your story, Big Al, is like there was a curiousness, and I think that peer pressure in social settings is going to be the number one instance of pressure. And what was the second part of your question?
And what did you do?
What did I do? Okay. Well, I obviously engaged in it, but to speak to you and how you can avoid it, think about what it means to be lit. Take some of these notes that all of us as speakers have given you and understand that your decision to say no could also inspire other people's decision to say no as well, and that's empowering.
That is empowering. I actually was a person who pressured others into joining me. I wanted them to do that. And, looking back on it, it's like, man, I wish I could take those days and those moments back. But a lot of it was because I didn't want to feel alone. Necessarily, it wasn't that I just wanted them to drink alcohol. It was more trying to fill a void that I had, just wanting friends and wanting relationships and thinking that this would be another way to win them. So I definitely didn't avoid it at all. But what I did do was when I did, of course, come into love and come into light, I flipped it and I started trying to share that with them. So when I came to an understanding of this is destroying me, but then something was giving me life, it was like then I flipped it. And so with all my friends, I started trying to share life with them and what they could do to not, do some of the things that I've been doing at the time. So that was how I handled it.
That's the beautiful thing about being a natural leader. When you're a leader, if you're a leader making these type of choices, then you lead people this way. If you're a leader making those type of choices, then you lead people that way. People will follow you either way. For me, I tried alcohol when I was in high school. I had a couple of really close friends, and my mom had wine coolers in the fridge, so we just tried it just out of curiosity. But like I said, it didn't become a lifestyle for me because, for the reasons that I shared. As far as being pressured, I was not a cool kid. I was not in the environments where people didn't invite me places where they would pressure me to do things. So I leaned into being a misfit, and that gave me the freedom to kind of not experience a lot of things, just kind of feeling neglected, right? Feeling left out. But the beauty of being left out is you get left out of some of the nonsense that goes on too.
I agree. What would you say to somebody that is struggling with alcohol addiction?
Seek help. Therapy. I love that Big Al mentioned therapy and understanding that you're not meant to go through your struggle alone, that there is a community out there struggling with the same things, and there are people, professionals out there that can get you the help that you need to make that change in your life. And to echo that, that's why we're here, the Northeast Delta HSA.
So Keshana Hall and all of the staff here, that's why they are here to help you. So if you are experiencing that feeling and that tug, or you may be involved in alcoholism, you do have professionals here, like at the Northeast Delta HSA, or you have professionals right there in your classroom, your educators, your teachers, you know, and then there's some community leaders who you can talk to that can help you kind of navigate that. And so those are some of the ways, and this practically is one of the ways that you can do that.
I would say look in the mirror and try to get rid of shame.
Wow.
The first thing, shame is the biggest hindrance to any type of healing. If you are struggling with alcohol addiction or any kind of addiction, finding ways to suppress shame or get rid of shame. Shame dies when you verbalize, when you talk to people, when you're vulnerable. So find a safe person who you can tell what you're struggling with to. Even if it's just one safe place, that starts to dismantle shame. And from the place of getting rid of shame and opening yourself into vulnerability, you can then begin to actually heal. You can go to therapy. You can start watching YouTube videos. Maybe you're not ready for therapy. Maybe you need to, start off by yourself, watching YouTube videos about people who've overcome this. Begin to brainwash yourself that you can too. It's conversations that are happening in your mind that cause you to continue making addictive choices. So the voice that says, I can't handle this, I'm afraid, I feel alone, I need something to numb the pain, that's a voice you can begin to respond to. Why do I need something to numb the pain? Where is the pain coming from? You shared that you started alcohol from a place of pain. So this is a healing journey, and it has to be treated like a healing journey. It's not always a straight line. It's not always pretty. Actually, usually it's not pretty. I didn't struggle with an alcohol addiction, but I'm somebody who has had to heal a lot of things. So if we're talking about healing, baby, let's talk about it. But seriously though, starting off from the place of understanding I have this addiction and I continue to dwell in it because on some level I'm ashamed of myself and I don't need to be.
Wow.
What does it mean being lit to you, leaders in training?
Yeah, being lit to me means to assume that position of a leader, kind of like what I talked about in my speech, is understanding your power within you, the God-given talents, strengths, and abilities that you can tap into that not only allows you to create the life that you want to create, but to also help other people recognize their ability to create the life that we can create. Sometimes I think we just kind of go on autopilot and we're going through the rat race in life, and we forget that each day that we wake up, we have an opportunity to paint a beautiful picture of what today is going to look like. It's like, yes, we may not be able to control the weather, we may not be able to control what someone says to us, but we can control our thoughts about it, how we respond, and how we show up. I think it was Raven, you talked about showing up. And we get to choose how we show up to anything, this event, how we engage with another person. And so I think that being lit means to shine and to be bright and to help others find that light as well.
Wow. Hey, to just add to what Asia's saying, one of the things that I love about leadership is I don't necessarily look at it as like I'm following somebody. When I find a real leader, that's somebody that I want to lock arms with and walk alongside of and do the work with them. And so, that's the reason why, if I could be honest, I just met Raven and Asia this morning. And these are two individuals that I would love to lock arms with and work alongside of because they are incredible leaders. And what they're doing is by example, they're saying, hey, these are my shortcomings, but these are the ways that I've been finding my way out of them, and I've been making progress. And that to me is a leader. And so, identify those people in your life and then understand this, that as small and as mediocre as you may feel like your situation may be, somebody's looking at you. They're wanting to emulate you. They're wanting to see what it is that you do. Or they want to, in a sense, be like you. A lot of people ask me different places I go, are you famous? I say, everybody's famous to somebody. There's somebody that is looking at you like, wow, I wish I could do that. And when you understand that, you start to look at things a little more responsibly and say, you know what, if this younger person or this person around my age looks at me in that capacity, let me walk away that would make them feel like, hey, I like to walk with them, period.
I love that. Being lit, honey, for me, it's about loving myself. That's my favorite way to be a leader, is to be authentic. My question for you was, who are you? The question I implore you to ask yourself regularly. And my answer for that is, I am an authentic being authentic. That's it. I don't promise anything more than to align myself with me, to find and discover who I was created to be, and to be that person without apology. To me, that's being a leader. When you discover you, dust off all the guck and the muck that tries to cover up who you are throughout your life, or tell you that it's not enough, you're not worthy, or whatever. Find those places where you've been wounded, where you haven't been loved correctly, and love you correctly in those places. And you'll find yourself shining in a way that other people are drawn to. That, to me, is what being lit, being a leader in training is all about.
I also want to add to our discussion, something I just thought about is leaders in training. That speaks to how this is a continuous process.
Yes.
It's not that you arrive at some place and you're like, now my work is done, now I'm a lead, now I can go lead. It's that all of your experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, are equipping you with the strength, the skill sets that you need to overcome the next obstacle. Because if you can overcome the one that you did before, you can overcome the next one. And so whenever a hurdle gets in front of your way or a trial comes about, you have to look at that and think, I've been through that. I can go through this. I'm staying lit. It's a continuous process. It's a constant choice of, I'm going to take this obstacle and turn it into an opportunity. I'm going to take this struggle and shine through it. And so I thought that was a really cool thought I just had of like, it's in training. It's not that you arrive at a place, but it's a continuous process to stay lit.
Wow.
Thank you for saying
Wow.
that. Yes.
Wow.
That's so important.
Wow.
I totally agree. That was so powerful. Asia, what was it like to be on the powerlifting team? And how would you think alcohol would have affected your performance?
Well, to address that first question, the powerlifting team was phenomenal. It really did teach me so much about myself. I use this analogy about strength training a lot. Whenever you're in the gym and you're lifting weights, it's tough, it's difficult, it's painful almost, and it's that same process that builds strength. And I think that's a beautiful metaphor and analogy for struggles in life. There's going to be a weight on our chest, a weight on our shoulders, and we can either just stop, give up, drop the weight, but that's not what we're called to do. We're called to push through that, understanding that a breakdown has to occur. Like in the physical body, your muscles have to break down in order for them to repair and grow and recover. And so the same thing can be applied to our life. Alcohol would have impacted my performance. I didn't drink during like the weekday or during lifts or anything like that, but it was more on the weekends. But what alcohol does do is it creates brain fog. It impairs you physically, and so if I were to engage in something like that before a meet or before any type of lifting session, then I would absolutely see that impair my performance, and it's not worth it. So if you're out there and you're powerlifting, and don't combine those two.
Yes. Raven, how do you work on not judging yourself and still holding yourself accountable for your mistakes?
Ooh, that's a great question. So it's balance and self-compassion, right? So being very, very honest with myself. Did I make a selfish choice? Absolutely, I made a selfish choice. I am not beating myself up for it. I'm not going to stay in that place of, oh gosh, I'm so selfish. I'm not taking on the title or defining myself by the mistakes that I make or by the poor choices that I make. I'm observing those choices. I'm doing the work of discovering why did I make them? What are the triggers that I have that sometimes might inspire me to lean more toward making those types of choices again? How do I prepare myself, before I go into places where I might be triggered in that way? So the answer is work. And to be honest, I don't subscribe to the idea that oh, you just have to work super hard, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and everything in life. I believe that this is the only thing worth working extremely hard at, is learning how to give yourself that compassion and grow. So for me, how I do it is by being honest with myself, right? And then allowing myself to be reminded of who I am. I remind myself of my core values. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm proud of about me. I know that's ethereal. In a practical sense, one of my mentors taught me something that changed my life. It pulled me out of one of my lowest depressions, one of my depressions, right? She told me to look in the mirror and say, one thing that I like about myself is, one thing that I love about myself is, one thing I appreciate about myself, and one thing I admire about myself, morning and night for 14 days. And when I first started, I could not think of one thing that I liked about myself. Wow. I stood in the mirror and cried. The next day, I tried to remember things that I had heard other people say they liked about me, and I said that, but I didn't believe it. By the end of the 14 days, I was standing in the mirror saying, what I like about myself is my bright smile. What I love about myself is how I inspire people. What I appreciate about myself is how I never give up. And what I admire about myself is how I genuinely love people. I could do that because I had practiced it. And that's something that was 6 years ago. I still do that in the mirror almost every day. Wow.
And
so
that you showed up for yourself like that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. How do we do it? On purpose.
Ooh.
Y'all getting gems this morning. This is crazy. I'm over here trying not to take notes. Like, this is crazy. All right. This is crazy.
Big Al, can you elaborate on you regaining your self-esteem after getting into underage drinking?
So I'm still regaining my self-esteem, which is part of the reason why I am in therapy currently. You probably don't know it by seeing me, but you know, I still wrestle with it. You know, I'm a chocolate-covered teddy bear. So you know, a lot of people are into teddy bears. You know, so it bothers you mentally sometimes. So I'm currently, you know, working on that, trying to reprocess the way that I've thought about myself. When I just heard Raven give those, I appreciate, I love, those things about herself, I was like, man, I wonder if I can do that yet. Yes. You know, so I'm still, as Asia was saying, I'm still a work in progress. So I'm still building my self-confidence and my self-esteem. It's certainly way better than it was, but I still have a long way to go. So I would ask you to bear with me in that thought. But I'm feeling better about myself. You know, again, I mean, when the light and the love hit me, it really did change me. And so it's like where I'm at right now is I feel better, but I got a long way to go. So I'm still working on it.
We all do.
I heard Big Al talk about mental health. What do you guys think about mental health periods or mental health days for high school students?
Can we go first?
You can go first. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
By all means, take it.
Oh, I'm all for
1,000%.
mental health days, mental health weeks. And something I would really love to see is just like that simple breathing exercise we did in the beginning of my talk. I think things could happen like that in the classroom. Things could happen like that at recess. And even entertain the idea of like maybe once a month, do a mental health day. Maybe people, and that's where you prioritize like self-care activities and stuff. I think that sounds awesome. What do y'all think?
You know, let me tell you, part of the reason why I'm not an educator anymore is because everything about me has always been unorthodox. It just really has been. I heard a name a little while ago. They said Hayward Floyd, who is an educator currently, who actually is one of my former students. And he could attest to the fact that there'll be some days in class that I would literally say, close your books, throw the beat on, and somebody would go to my computer and they would pull up some instrumentals and we would start freestyling. It was just what it was. It was just that kind of thing. That probably wasn't the best thing to say, but at the same time, it was like, my thought was there was so much overload, just to be honest, because I was teaching calculus and I was teaching advanced math. So you're coming into my classroom and I'm like, the sine of theta, and you're like, who is theta? You know, so you've already got that going on. Then, of course, because of the schools that I chose to work at, a lot of them came to school with outside situations, just like I did when I was growing up. And so you're sitting there thinking to yourself, you know, if they're coming from that situation, and then they come in here, and I'm like, okay, be quiet, listen up. The sign of theta is that kind of thing, and it's like the shutdowns that I would see. So my thought was, every now and again, we've got to do something to allow them to breathe. So we weren't saying mental health, you know, back when I was teaching school, but it's clearly what it is. So am I in support of it? Yes. I think that even the teachers need some mental health time. You know, I'll be honest in saying, and Raven's going to speak, so don't let me talk too long, but my former principal at Carroll Junior High School, Jimmy Jones, God rest his soul, I remember one day he got on the intercom and he said, teachers, send all the kids to the gymnasium. And so all the kids go to the gym. Now this was nothing that was planned. He called all the teachers down to the cafeteria. There was this spread of breakfast. And he said, we're going to take care of the kids today. He was talking about the administration and some of the other, you know, some of the coaches, everything like that. He said, we're going to take care of the kids today. And he gave us this day on campus where we ate food like crazy, and we were able to like catch up on some grading, some assignments, some pre-planning and everything like that. It was just and I was like, and he would do it periodically through the year. And I was like, I thought he was super mean. No, he had this thought process of, in order for my teachers to be effective in their presentation, they got to want to be here too. And so I'm all in favor of not just the students, but even the teachers and administrators having mental health time off.
I could not agree more with both of you. I think instituting some sort of a daily practice of breathing or meditation into the curriculum would create not just better education outcomes, because you think more clearly when your mind is at peace, but also better behavioral outcomes. You know, a lot of times children are labeled as being unruly or bad or whatever, but really they are people. They are people who are not being given the time, the tools, and the respect that they need in order to function well, or being taught how to function well. And so as far as mental health time in schools, I think that it's almost criminal that students don't have it. Because as adults, we get to choose a job and we're thinking, how many days or how much vacation time do I get? You know, we get to think through where are my breaks going to be? How long is the lunch break? That sort of thing. We can build in, we have the freedom to build in systems of self-care through our work day, through our home life. But kids and students don't have the same freedom. They're off when we say they're off. And they don't get to say, I'm not okay. I'm not okay today. I'm not able to focus this week. I'm having a hard time. Maybe they're having a rough time at home. Maybe they're not having a rough time at home. That doesn't mean that they don't get to suffer sometimes. It doesn't mean that they don't get to rest. So I love when teachers take the initiative to say, we have been working really hard. I'm proud of all of you. This is how we're going to take care of ourselves today. Or when parents decide, I've noticed my child has been a little stressed. She's not coming today or tomorrow. And we don't have an agenda. She's not coming. That's it. I'm all about that. I'm about that life. But I know, you know, truancy and stuff like that, so you got to be careful. But you know, that's sort of my hippie philosophy is take care of your kids, take care of yourself. Everything else can wait.
I totally agree. I feel that we're programmed in schools, and teachers get these gap periods, as they call them, where they can stay and they can rest, but kids, we have to keep going, and we only get a 30-minute lunch break. So I definitely agree. Big Al, I have a message from you from Hayward Ford, who said that that you inspired him to become a teacher.
Wow. That's crazy. You know what's so funny, man, is a lot of people don't remember when he had a very budding rap career. He was, Hayward, I don't know if you've ever told your students that, but old Foy Boy had a song called Skate that was incredible. And I promise you they were playing it at every club, at the skate town, and everything. And so I remember encouraging him in that journey of his life, and now to see him as a school teacher. And he started an event called Stop the Violence bike rally. And let me say this to you, Haywood, I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you, and you're inspiration to me, so thank you so much, sir.
Okay, our last question. If you could tell yourself, your younger self, one thing, what would it be?
Keep going and think way bigger. Imagine a future way bigger and brighter than you are imagining right now. There's a quote that says, God can exceed your expectations far greater than you ever imagine. And if I could speak to my younger self, I would say it's going to be tough, it's going to be hard, but that's exactly why you have to go through what you have to go through, is to build that strength and to fulfill the purpose that you're called to fill, and to always remember your roots, to never forget where you come from, and to be proud of that. At one point in my life, I was ashamed of my background and ashamed of where I lived, and that was the motivation for my actions for a while. But then it came to a point where it was no longer out of fear of becoming or perpetuating a pattern or shame. It was from a place of empowerment. I love my family, and I love who they are, and I am proud to come from where I come from. And now I can simply speak from that place of empowerment, because as a child and as a young adult and as a young lady now, I am continuing to push through and to shine. That's what I would tell my younger self.
I would tell my younger self, it's going to get better. I said at the very beginning of my speech today that I love my parents and I love my step-parents. With everything that I have gone through that I had gone through in my childhood, currently my dad is probably my best friend. And my mom and I, she literally texted me right before we went live asking me was I going to be able to take her to church with me on Sunday morning. My stepdad, for some reason, every time he sees me now, he wants to hug me and get teary-eyed. I don't know what that's about, but he's a very emotional guy, considering. And then my stepmom is constantly always a cheerleader in my corner, and I am very grateful that is my story currently. So I would tell my younger self, hey man, it's gonna get better. Hang in there, it's definitely gonna get better.
I would tell my younger self to chill. Chill out, sis. Like, it's okay that you're different. Stay different. Just continue to do what you do. All the stuff you think that matters, it ain't gonna matter that much later. Just chill. Go on your journey. Let things happen naturally. And most importantly, continue to cultivate your weirdness.
That was amazing. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you to our amazing speakers for what you have left with us today.
Thank y'all.
DJ, take us out.
Hey.
Yeah, switch it up. Yeah, switch it up. Yeah, switch it up. Switch it up. Switch. Warriors in the army of the Lord. If you got your prayers on, then we all on one accord. If you're scared of the streets, then you better stand guard. Cause we gon' hit the bricks and it's time to go hard. Now everybody switch it up. 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 Yo, who is this guy? All of a sudden, I got him curious like Benjamin Button.
We did it. Are we off now?
Favorite joint right there.
And look.
I got a praise in my mouth, cause the Lord's been good to me. He didn't have to wake me up this morning, could have died in my sleep. I was bound by sin, but he's given me the victory.
Microphone check. 1, 2. Grab you a partner. Now grab.
Northeast Delta Human Services Authority provides services and treatment to individuals diagnosed with major mental illnesses, developmental disabilities, and addictive disorders. We also provide prevention and wellness services throughout our 12-parish region in Northeast Louisiana. Our agency's vision is to build a unified Northeast Louisiana where individuals are thriving and reaching their full human potential. Our agency's mission is to serve as a catalyst for individuals with mental health, developmental disabilities, and addictive disorders to help realize their full human potential by offering quality, excellent care with greater accessibility. The 3 tenets that guide our actions are greater access to services, excellent customer service, and quality, competent care. Dr. Montez A. Sizer leads Northeast Delta Human Services Authority as the Executive Director.